Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books, and today we are doing my July wrap-up. So it's currently the 5th of August, which is my cat Gus's birthday. Happy birthday to Gus. He's not here. He's probably living his best life, sleeping in the sun. But what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is everything that happened in July. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the books that I've read. I'm going to talk to you guys about which one was my book of the month. I'm going to talk about the videos that I've made. I'm going to talk about the stats for the channel. And I'm going to talk about the films that I watched, because I watched a couple of films at the cinema. So let's talk about it. This month I finished 5 books and started another one. So a caveat, one of those books I finished like 2 days into July and I had read most of it in June. And that is Towers of Midnight by Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan. Book 13 in the Wheel of Time. This is the penultimate Wheel of Time book. I've already done a review for this. I've already done a full spoiler discussion with my friend Matt from Bask in the Story about this. This book was, for me, a slight step down from The Gathering Storm. I felt like Sanderson maybe focused on the aspects of this book that I was less interested in. And for a book that was called The Towers of Midnight, I didn't realise that the Towers of Midnight were an actual thing in the world. And yes, that is my fault, not the book's fault. But I was really expecting this to focus more on Matt's story in this book, because there's a specific tower that he's going to in this book. And I really thought that that was going to be made more of. And in the end, it was only really a couple of short chapters. So overall, fantastic moments in this book. There was a moment in this, we're in some Perrin chapters that I truly, truly loved. This has been the best Perrin has been since The Shadow Rising. I don't think that Perrin has had really a good storyline since The Shadow Rising, but this book was some great Perrin stuff. I can see why, if the treatment of Perrin in this book carries across to A Memory of Light, why people who finish the series might be like, yeah, Perrin is my favourite character. Because he wouldn't be in my top 5, I don't think. Maybe closing in on it here. But for me, it's great to also get back to some other characters that I really like that we haven't seen in a while, like Elaine. And overall, I had a great time with this book. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. I think I originally gave it a 5 out of 5 and then edited it upon reflection. It's an excellent book, but yeah, it's excellent. That's where I'm going to leave it. Next up, I read the Dungeon Anarchists Cookbook, which is book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5. I think that for me, this is a weaker book than the first 2, and I think the actual prevailing opinion is that this is one of the weakest books. And a lot of the people were talking about how the train stuff was hard to visualize. I'm not a visual reader, so I don't visualize stuff when I read. I just kind of absorb the words, if that makes sense. I'm not visualizing what's happening in the scene. So a lot of people think that's weird. Maybe it is. Anyway, so I wasn't visualizing the kind of bits that I was reading. I was just kind of reading them. Obviously, also, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a pure audio series for me. And so a lot of this book was just listened to, not read. Maybe it is a bit more of an enjoyable experience if you read it. But yeah, I only audioed this one. And I did have a good time. But I think I just, after how much I enjoyed book 2 and how surprised I was to enjoy book 1, I was expecting another book on that level of quality, I guess. And And this one felt a little bit less focused. I liked the character work that we got with Donut and with Katya. I really liked Katya in this book. She was kind of like the MVP side character. And Carl is Carl. He's still going. He's still great. The audiobooks are obviously fantastic. I think everybody knows by now that these audiobooks are fantastic. They aren't so much better than the physical experience that I would be like, don't read this physically. A lot of people say that. I don't agree. I think that it's still a great experience to be read physically. I chose to audio this one only. So the first book I split between audio and ebook. And then from then on, I've only bought the audiobooks. And I've done that primarily because a lot of my reading time at the moment is audio. And I just kind of do want to buy the books twice. I was like, I'll just buy one version. So I bought the audio version. Most of the time I end up buying two versions of books. But I think with Dungeon Crawler Carl, because I end up listening to it mostly while going out for runs and stuff, it kind of ends up that like 70% of my reading time is audio time. So I might as well just make it all audio. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, so yeah, the audio is great. If you're not an audio reader, don't let that put you off from reading the series. It is worth a read. Next up, I read Iron Gold. So, this may come as a surprise to anyone who does not follow the weekly updates, or maybe hasn't. It probably won't come as a surprise to anyone because I talk about what I'm reading a lot. I finished the Dungeon Anarchists cookbook, and I was just feeling, having read, having audioed that one, I really wanted a book that I could read physically. And I was just looking over my shelves, and I was thinking about series that I had started but not finished. And then I saw that my friend Steve has been reading the Red Rising sequels, and the messages that he was sharing in the Discord and saying like, wow, these are really, really good, better than I was expecting, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, maybe I'll try Iron Gold out. I had heard through the grapevine that Iron Gold was the weakest book in the Red Rising series. And I will tell you right now, I absolutely disagree with that. And I think that up to Iron Gold, this is actually my favourite Red Rising book. So I think it's better than the first trilogy. We move now 10 years past Morningstar, the final book in the original trilogy. And Pierce Brown is opening up the world by taking us to multiple points of view rather than the single first-person point of view we got with Darrow originally. And now we are starting to see the world through these other lenses. We're meeting new characters. We're kind of seeing how other races see the world, not just Reds, not just Golds. We're seeing other levels of society. We're spending time with a Red who works as a Red who works in the household of a Gold. We're seeing a Grey who is like a master thief. We're spending time with Golds who are on the run because they participated in the old society, and the old society is done. Lots of fantastic stuff here. Really good twists and turns. The weird thing about this is, right, I love all the points of view except Darrow. I think Darrow's point of view is the most boring and least interesting in this series. Darrow's point of view really just feels like more of the same Red Rising stuff. Big climactic stuff. I have to get in my Star Shell and Iron Rain and like all this kind of thing, but like I want a bit more from Darrow. There's a few chapters in the beginning where we get to see how he kind of is struggling and doesn't feel like he has a place in society anymore. He's kind of like the soldier for the war that everyone's forgotten about and doesn't really care about. And that stuff, excellent. But the second Pierce Brown's like, and now we throw him back into the war, and now it's all war, and it's war and war. Like, that is so uninteresting to me. All the other characters have these really fascinating, interesting plots. and Darrow is just fighting dudes, you know? Anyway, so I had a lot of good fun with this book. It was way better than I expected. The audio experience was also really good. So the audio has a narrator per point of view, which is fantastic. I really wish more books would do this. Obviously, a lot of fantasy series, there'll be like 20 points of view, so you can't really do that. But like some smaller scope fantasy books absolutely could. It's really interesting that Pierce Brown has kept the first person for this, because a lot of multi-POV books are third person. So that does make this a genuinely really interesting series to read. And I have actually, I mean, spoilers for later in this video, I'm currently reading Dark Age, and I have some things to say about that, and we'll talk about that later. So let's go into the next book. I read Isles of the Emberdark by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the latest Secret Project release. I thought that Isles of the Emberdark was pretty good, apart from part 1. So Brandon has written Isles of the Emberdark as a sequel to a short story that he wrote called Six of the Dusk. He ended up not wanting to confuse people who hadn't read Six of the Dusk, so he put that book in, that short story in, as flashbacks in part 1 of Isles of the Emberdark. And I don't think that worked. I would rather it had been just like a long prologue, or that he had just said, you just have to read it. You have to read Six of the Dusk in order to enjoy Isles of the Emberdark. That's not completely unheard of. And he could have published Six of the Dusk for free on his website. That's probably what I would have done. The lane I'd have gone down, I'd have been like, read Six of the Dusk first, then go read Isles of the Emberdark. I was aware that short story was integrated into Isles of the Emberdark, but I chose to read it in the way it was published, rather than reading the short story first, then skipping those chapters in the ebook. And I do think that my reading experience was the worst for it. So if you're going to read Isles of the Emberdark, I might recommend you do it the way round that I did not do it, which is to read the short story first, then read Isles of the Emberdark. The book gets better as it goes. So I'm pretty certain it's like 4 parts, and part 1 I was like, should I DNF this? Not really enjoying it. And then I was like, no, it's Cosmere, it'll get better. Part 2 improved, wasn't loving it, was liking it. Part 3 started to love it. Part 4 really loved the ending. Obviously Sanderson is fantastic at endings. I think that keeping the second point of view protagonist from part 1 was a bit of a mistake. I wish that they had been more interwoven throughout the book, because Dusk as a point of view is not super interesting, but the other character, Starling, is. I had a lot of fun with this book by the end, but to set expectations, the opening part of the book was a bit of a slog, and I did not think that the flashbacks integrating stuff really worked for me. Might work for you, didn't work for me. Full review of it, where I go in more depth into my feelings on that, is already on the channel, so if you want to know more, find it out. After the Isles of the Emberdark, I read The Lost War. This is actually my book of the month for July. It was kind of a toss-up between this, Iron Gold, and Towers of Midnight, but I ended up rating The Lost War as a 5 out of 5 and the other two as a 4 out of 5, and so kind of de facto The Lost War became the best book of the month. The Lost War is a fantastic book. It won SPFBO a few years ago. I just shot my review for it, which will go up on Monday the 11th. But had a really, really fantastic time reading The Lost War. It is kind of like a... If you like Sanderson, I think you'll like The Lost War. If you don't like Sanderson, you might still like it. It's not like a heavy, explainy, magic system-y book. The magic system is very soft magic. The characters are really, really strong. I think the plot work is great as well. One of the things that this book does really, really well is give you tons and tons of like smaller side plots and then weave them all together into the end. And that element of the book, it's quite funny because you read the beginning of the book and you're like, and I was like, is this going to come together? Is this just lots of disparate stories that are kind of building us a world? And in fact, those disparate stories are all playing into different mysteries. The world building is really strong, and then it all kind of comes together into this final big event at the end of the book and a big reveal, and I absolutely loved it. I thought that the foreshadowing was done really, really well. The mysteries, twists and reveals were done really, really well. And I just really liked the characters. I really liked specifically Aronok, who is the lead, and Samali, who's kind of like one of the co-leads. Both were really, really well done. I think that Justin Lee Anderson, who wrote it, he's got a really good, unique voice for all of these characters. They all read differently. And overall, it was just a really great book that I would really, really recommend. I've got the sequels, and I'm planning on reading them real soon. So The Bitter Crown and Damned King. Damned King actually isn't out yet. I got sent an early copy by Orbit. I also got sent this by Orbit, but like, you know. Thanks very much to Orbit and Justin for getting these across to me. I will be reading these very soon. Maybe not this month, August, because I have a pretty stacked TBR plan. And by TBR plan, I mean I want to read 3 books and they're all over 750 pages. So I might not get to those this month. And I'm going on holiday next week. But I did have a great time reading The Lost War, and I'm really psyched to get to The Bitter Crown. I just love this cover design as well, like the single colour cover design stuff. I think it's really well done. Big fan. After reading The Lost War, I read Dark Age by Pierce Brown. I started reading Dark Age by Pierce Brown. I really struggled after The Lost War to find a book that I really wanted to read. And it took me a couple of days, but I eventually picked up Dark Age, read a couple of pages and was like, yeah, go on, I'll give that a read. And I'm now almost 300 pages in, so I'm about 40 or 50 pages away from halfway, I think. Maybe not that far. Maybe almost 100 from halfway. It's like 700 odd pages. And I have just read chapter 31. So if you have read this book, you might know what I'm talking about. That was a real banger of a chapter. Interestingly, though, if we lop this off to being just July's reading, I was not enjoying this book. So part 1 of this book is purely 2 points of view. What I would say is maybe the mistake of Crossroads of Twilight. So in Crossroads of Twilight, Robert Jordan does this thing where he bunches all the characters' chapters together. So instead of varying up the characters, so you don't get bored, and you know the type of storytelling is changing, he's just going like, here's 6 chapters of Elaine, here's 6 chapters of Matt, here's 6 chapters of Perrin, and it doesn't really work. And that's what Pierce Brown is doing here in part 1. So part 1 of this book is purely 2 points of view. The big issue is that both of those points of view are kind of doing the same thing. They're both like in war, doing war stuff. And I said it on last week's weekly wrap up that I've almost DNF'd this book. When listening to the audio book, I found my attention drifting so many times that I've probably listened to most chapters in part 1 twice. And I was struggling. I was thinking about putting this book down completely and trying to come back to it in like a year's time or something. And then I got to part 2. And part 2 is awesome. Part 2 is really good. It's got varied content. It's got 2 really different points of view who have different tones of voice, different stories going on. We've got the highly political plot with Mustang. We've got the kind of the like other side of the track stuff going on with Ephraim. Like, all of it is so well done, and I've loved reading it, and it's got me back and interested again in this book, and I'm hyped to read more of it. I'm literally, the second I finish recording this, I'm going out on a run, and I'm gonna be listening to Dark Age, because it's just so fun to me right now. I'm like really in the Red Rising groove right now. And yeah, I mean, my next chapter is a Darrow chapter, so maybe I'll think it sucks again, because Darrow is by far my least favourite point of view in Iron Gold and Dark Age so far. But yeah, I'm really excited to read more of this, and especially to get to the next book, Lightbringer, which a lot of people said in my best books of 2023 video, like when I did like a compilation asking a load of booktubers. In the best books of 2023 video, tons of people said Lightbringer. So, you know. Anyway, let's have a think back. What else did we want to talk about? Oh, Batman. So, I have been working on a comic book second channel side project for a little while. I haven't recorded any videos yet, but I have been doing the reading for those videos. And like making notes and starting to plan. That channel will eventually launch at some time in the near future. It's probably going to be 1 to 2 videos a week. At most 2. I'm not doing 3 on that as well. Because as you've seen from this channel, I can't keep up with 3 on this channel anymore. I should probably just start calling myself a 2 video a week channel, but like sometimes I've got 3 videos worth of stuff to talk about. Anyway, so I've been reading Chip Zdarsky's Batman run, which started with The Night, which was a retelling of the story, the years where Bruce Wayne was training to be Batman. So from like 25 to whenever, and that story was really well done. I really liked that. And then I reread so I'd actually read it before as well. I reread that, and then I reread the early issues of the run. And Zdarsky's run started on issue 125 of the latest volume of Batman, and then went all the way through to 157. It also contained a few different crossovers. The big one kind of being Gotham War, which crossed over with Catwoman. Sadly, all the Catwoman issues of that were quite bad, but Zdarsky's Batman issues were decent. The story has been up and down. Zdarsky has done what I see as the fatal sin of a Batman run and tried to make tons of it about the Joker. I feel like the Snyder run, where he barely had the Joker in it at all until right at the end, and then it was like, and now here's the big Joker story, that worked quite well for me. I really liked how Grant Morrison's run was like, I'm going to do all new villains. That was fantastic. And I really liked a lot of the new characters that Zdarsky has created here. And I think that the kind of new status quo that he's done for Batman and all of that stuff was really well done. And bringing back the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh and creating this new villain, Failsafe, all of that worked really, really well. I do also need to read the Absolute Power crossover, which has a lot of Failsafe in, to fully finish this arc, and it's run by Zdarsky. But I will say now, like, had a great ton of fun reading this, and really looking forward to recording my full review for the comic channel when, I don't know when the comic channel is actually going to drop. My plan was, and I'll be honest with you, my plan was to pre-record several months worth of videos and then start to drip feed them out so that it does not take over and pull my time away from this channel, which will always be the main channel. So, that's books and kind of comics. Let's talk videos. So, I forgot to look up what the best performing video of the month was. Let's do that together right now. So I'm pretty certain that view all. So best performing video of the month. Oh, I did a Books Palmer. I did my long-term review for the Books Palmer. That's got 1.1 thousand views. So great. Usually my reviews get more than that, but happy with that, seeing as it's not the current generation, is like a 4-year-old device. But the thing that I was kind of trying to say with that video was this is still an excellent device and you can now get it dirt cheap. So go out and get it. Worst performing video of the month. Let's look. Iron Gold review, actually. My Iron Gold review performed really, really poorly. No idea why, because people love Red Rising. I did a thing with my Isles of the Emberdark review where I titled that differently. So normally, all my book reviews are titled name of book by author of book, then there's a vertical line, then there's the series name. And for the Isles of the Emberdark review, I titled it, Should You Read Isles of the Emberdark? And I think I'm going to trial that for all of my reviews for the next few, for not just calling them specifically review, because I do think that some people are kind of put off by reviews, but would watch one if they clicked on it, if that makes sense. We'll see. We'll trial it with The Lost War, which the review will be out on the 11th. So we'll see how that works out. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of views this month, we did pretty well with 6.4 thousand views, 7,090 watch hours. So yeah, again, really good. But let's talk about the actual the pain point this month, which is I got 16 new subscribers. I don't think that I've had that few new subscribers since I started the channel. I think I started the channel 2 years ago in August 2023. I'll be recording an anniversary video, don't worry. And in that time, I think that I've got less than 20 subscribers in a month, twice. Really surprising that it came in a month when I read a lot of popular books. But I will say, every single book that I reviewed last month was a sequel. So it may just be that because I'm only talking sequels, I'm just not bringing in that new audience. If that isn't the case, maybe not. My plan for next year is to read book one or standalone every single month. So I'll have at least 12 videos next year that are going to be designed to bring in audience. Because the big thing about this channel is, yes, I make it because I just want to talk about books. I don't make it specifically to be like, I want a massive YouTube channel, I want to live off it. I would really rather not, because the income is not reliable enough. I saw a thread on Reddit the other day where a woman was like, my entire income was my YouTube channel and YouTube have deleted it, so I now have no income. And so I will never live off of my booktube channel. Even if I am Mike's Book Reviews level of big, I ain't living off this channel. But I would like the channel to grow a bit more. I wanted to get to 2,000 subs this year, which I don't think is going to happen, I'll be honest with you. I really wanted to get to 2,000, and I was planning on, when I got to 2,000, launching a Discord so that we could kind of chat between videos and talk about what I'm reading, and I could find out more about you guys as a community. Maybe I will change that number for starting a Discord to a lower number. I'd always thought 2,000 because that feels like when you've got 2,000 subs, I feel like you've got, 1% of that is 20 or whatever, right? Yeah. Yeah, 20. And I feel like 1% of your subscribers are your most active community. So if I'm like, right, I've got 2,000 subs, 20 people, that's enough to have a fun Discord, you know? I have a Discord I'm in a Discord for a really, really small games podcast, made tons and tons of friends there, really, really like that podcast, like that show, like those guys, and I feel like I've made really strong, good relationships and friendships, and I would like to provide that for my community, so that's why I was thinking of 2,000. I'll think about it. If you would like to join my Discord, say so in the comments below, and if there's enough people, I'll be like, maybe I'll just start it in a couple of months' time or something. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Terrible month for subscriptions. I will say that I made great income. So my goal is to make at least £20 a month of income, and I made 22 this month. The past few months have been around 30. So obviously people have decided to go outside and touch grass this month and have not been watching much YouTube, which is why my subs are down and why my income is down. I also made less videos because I was outside touching grass this month. But I do hope that you guys aren't thinking that the channel has fallen off and that you're still enjoying it. If you have any feedback for me, please let me know. This month I sort of broke my book buying ban as well. So I had some credit on my Vinted account, which I used, which I got from selling some old books, that were like nice books, but like they were like too nice to donate to a charity shop, but not like mega valuable. But I had some money on my Vinted account and I was like, actually, I'm just going to buy The Bitter Crown because I really wanted to read it, and it wasn't on any service, it wasn't available through the library, and I didn't want to just audio book it. I was like, I will get a copy. And then Orbit sent me a free copy. Thank you very much, Orbit. I will probably donate now the copy that I've bought via Vinted credit to my local charity shop or something like that. Yeah, so this one, I'm going to be reading that soon. And yeah, so that was £3, which is, you know, still less than I've made on YouTube. And I did say back in the you know, way back machine of my book buying ban rules that I would be allowed to spend YouTube income on books. I haven't done so yet, so I'm doing quite well. But yeah, that's the update on the book buying ban. £3 spent. So I can't say that I have not bought a book this year, but I can say I haven't spent actual money on a book. I've just spent Vinted credit. And I think that credit's been in my account for more than a year, maybe. Anyway, do you know what? We haven't got enough time to talk about Superman and Fantastic Four anymore. What I will say is Superman, 5 out of 5 for me. My favourite comic book movie of all time, pretty much. It'd be a real tough decision between that and some of the best of the MCU and the Dark Knight trilogy and Matt Reeves' Batman. But right now, for me as a person in this world, I feel like Superman is like the platonic ideal of comic book movie for me, and especially like first movie in a series. And Fantastic Four, I was really disappointed by. I did not like the Jetsons retro future stuff. I felt like Reed, Pedro Pascal as Reed was not very good. Was just kind of miscast. They just went with a popular actor, and I don't think that he was the right choice. I like the story fine, but I spent the whole movie going like, I kind of wish this was more integrated into Marvel stuff. Like, that's why I go see Marvel movies, is because they're integrated. I know that's not what anyone else sees them for, but like, that's a huge selling point for me. So when it wasn't, I was a bit disappointed. Anyway, so I said I didn't have time to talk about it, and I then talked about it. However, more in-depth discussions on those movies will be on the comic book channel eventually. Is that everything we need to discuss? Yes, this has been a very long video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Let me know what your favourite book of July was. Let me know what you thought of Superman. Let me know if you want to join my Discord. Is spending vintage credit on books cheating? Answers below in the comments. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to join our growing community, because I could really do with the subs. And I will speak to you on Friday.